Dave, let's find another key moment. Like what's another type of moment in a soccer game that you analyze? I don't know if it's a set piece or a certain type of transition that happens where it's critical that things happening off the ball need to be in place.
Yeah, well, when you're looking for like a mistake, so let's say we give the ball away, like Parata gave the ball away few times out of the back, right? So the obvious thing to do when you're watching the game is you say, "Stop giving the ball away, Parata," right? But before you say that in your head, you have to ask. So anybody who gives the ball away, the first question is, do they have an easy option? Right?
Yeah.
Right. So if they have an easy option and they miss it,
Personal mistake.
and then they give the ball away, that happens. But that is a very, very different proposition than if they don't have a good option, or they are really trying to, their only option has to be a spectacular, break the lines kind of ball.
Right.
And then because then you can, the question is, who do you blame? Like, even for example, on the absolute nightmare of a bar giving the ball away, I think in that case, it was just a bar and a mental case. But before I said that, I asked myself, okay, where was he coming from? Where was he going? Where was everybody else? What were the options?
Yeah.
Right. And so when you are evaluating a play, you have to look not just at the play that happened, but the root cause of it.
Yeah.
Right. The number of times where I have seen, Sosa scramble back. And like in the last game, he scrambled back. We were talking about it, and he still got beat, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, look, Sosa's terrible." But the whole play started because Lennon was too far up the field, and Araujo was trying to cover him behind him, and Sosa was the only one reading the danger in that play, right? And so, yes, if you look at just watching the ball, you say, okay, Sosa ended up in the back and kind of got beat. But you have to say, whoa. Why is Sosa going in behind our right back? Who was supposed to be there? Then you say, okay, Lennon was supposed to be there. Then you immediately look and say, where was Lennon? Lennon was charging up the field, and Araujo was behind him. And that's when you and I are like.
Then that gets to the question of, how do you coach the formation at the end of the game to make sure you're screaming from the sidelines that you have two banks of four?
Well, this is the thing when I talk about coaching, right? So this is also not just when you're watching a game, but when you're coaching. So many of what I hear coaching, just when I watch, if I go just watch a game, two coaches I've never seen, right? Even at a very high level, like I was watching my daughter play at GAL, which is the highest, youth women's league. And it's very high level soccer, but I'm listening and watching the coaches. And I would say 95% of the comments are all about what's going on the ball. Right. And my problem with that is, okay, you can tell people if somebody's running with the ball and they have good options and they don't make a good option, then, you want to say, all right, the better option was here or whatever. But the vast majority of the time, the mistake is not made with the person of the ball. The vast majority of the time, it's made off the ball with what options they have, who's timing the run or whatever. So if you're coaching a game, what I would encourage you is stop talking to the people on the ball and only talk to the people off the ball ahead of the time. So if your team is on defense, you should be looking offensively. When I'm coaching my team, when we're defending in our own penalty area, I'm looking a little bit up the field. I'm like, I can't help us in the penalty area, right?
So as a defender, Dave, is there anything worse when your teammates aren't creating angles and running in space to
when you don't have an option?
Make it easy for you, right?
Yeah. So and then if you've been this way, if you get the ball as an outside back and you've worked really hard, you freaking won the ball, you get the ball and you look up the field, there's no option. You've tried to do either you kick it up the field or you try to do the extra cutback, you get stripped, and now the coach is screaming at your head, right? And you see this all the time in youth soccer. They're like, what are you doing? You're taking too long on the ball. You never should have done it. That is not your problem. That is the problem, that you never had a pass. When you won the ball and had your head up, you should have had an option. Yeah. And if you had had that option, you wouldn't have had to do that stupid.
And I think that's one of the few things that even an average player can see that's not happening. If like a winger like bombs down the field, they work hard and the rest of the team's sleeping and no one's crashing the box. You're like, why weren't all those people that were off the ball not going into the box and giving him an option, right? And so don't forget that happens at all times on the field in little different scenarios, right? Like,
Yeah.
are people making the right
But even
movements?
in that case, like, so I've seen cases like, you know, with some of the girls teams, they have really good forwards, right? So they're under a lot of pressure. You outlet the ball. The girl gets the ball up top, like a long 30, 40-yard ball.
Yeah,
She turns her player and runs by her, right? And then the other defenders come over, and all the parents and the coaches are screaming, "Who is the other option in the box?" Right? That is not their fault because they played a 40-yard ball just to get it to them. If
yeah,
you are a forward and you receive a 40-yard ball, you should never turn because by definition, when you turn, you have no help. You need to bring another player into the game by laying it off, make another run. By
right.
the time you do that, now the players have the time to get forward. Now, if they're not supporting you, then you should be yelling at them.
Yeah.